The mechanism of the main gate was stiff with rust and lack of use. It took both of them to heave the great doors shut and lock them into place. The handle of the locking mechanism tore at Guy's hands even inside his gloves. It occurred to him that they might not get the doors open again. But they could worry about that later. Their priority now was to keep the mercenaries out. Robin steered well clear of the keep itself. Guy followed him to the edge of the courtyard and the crude wooden buildings all around it. Under a makeshift roof and a sackcloth sat a strange wooden contraption on wheels. Robin started to unwrap the thing and then thought better of it, and hurried to join Guy in the stables. They ransacked the old stables, finding little but old straw. As a boy, Robin told Guy, he'd learned all the places where weapons were hidden in case the castle was ever attacked, but every secret space and hidey-hole now lay empty. Each time they found a bare space, Guy saw Robin's spirit sink that bit lower. He didn't need to be told that this had once been a special place to Robin, perhaps even a second home. He felt a rising wave of envy for the emotional attachment Robin seemed to make so easily to places and people. Attachments he'd tried so hard to find himself, but always ending up the outsider. "We should call it a day," he called over as they lost the last of the sun. A gibbous moon barely cast enough light to see by. "There used to be spare longbows in the eaves," said Robin, ferreting his hands through the thatched roof of the stable. "We must have been looking for an hour," said Guy. "I'll find something," Robin insisted. "No," said Guy. "We should settle in for the night. Find somewhere to keep warm." He eyed the keep, glinting an eerie silver in the moonlight. It was obviously the place they were likely to find weapons, but even he didn't relish the prospect. The breeze cut at them again, cold like a blade. Guy felt his skin prickle with goose flesh. "We could stay in there," he said. Robin didn't look any happier with the idea, but he forced himself to grin. "Oh, what's the worst that can happen?" The door creaked slowly open, revealing a semicircle of stone lit by the moon and thick darkness beyond. The acrid stink suggested animals had been living in the place. Robin and Guy edged forward slowly, Robin easing the door closed behind them. They stood in total darkness. Guy struggled to adjust to the gloom, to pick out any detail. His eyes conjured flashes of green and purple, phantoms of his own imagining, but he could see nothing real. Something pressed around his arm, and he almost cried out. "Sorry," Robin whispered. "Didn't want to lose you in the dark." Guy could almost see him grinning that insufferable grin. "Are we just going to bed down here?" he asked. "Can do," said Robin. "But there might be something more comfortable upstairs. Just need something to light our way." "Maybe we should call for the servants," muttered Guy. "Maybe," said Robin, letting go of Guy's arm. "Stay here. I'm going to see what I can find." His voice was already fading into the dark as he stepped silently away. "But you can't see anything," Guy called after him. There was no answer. Guy counted slowly to 5, refusing to let Robin rile him. "Hood," he said, but even he could hear the concern in his voice. "You there?" Silence. "Robin?" "I'm here," said Robin, suddenly close up. "Sorry, won't be long." Guy cursed under his breath. He could hear Robin doing something. He recognized the crick and click of the flints Robin's men used for lighting fires. First there came the whiff of smoke. Then Robin clicked the flints again, and Guy saw a flicker of red in the darkness. The spark caught, and soon he could see Robin, his grinning face lit by the torch flaming in his hand. Robin held the torch up, illuminating the room. They were in a wide, square room, with wooden stairs at the far end. 2 chairs lay broken beside a wide, bare table. The stone floor was littered with old leaves and dust. There were no footprints, no signs of life, no suggestion that anyone had been in this room for some years. "Only the one torch," said Guy. "And it was on the floor," said Robin grimly. "Come on, let's look upstairs." The stairs shifted under the weight of their feet, so they made their way carefully. Guy led, Robin keeping close behind. The torchlight revealed tattered hangings on the walls, scrappy remains of the once plush furnishing. On the first landing they found more broken furniture. A great family crest had been painted on the ceiling. Guy stopped to admire the artistry. "Didn't know you were a heraldry geek," said Robin, coming to join him. "It tells you who these people were," said Guy. He pointed up at the rings painted in the field, the oblong at the top of the shields. "Amulets," he explained. "Lord Brackenbury was a 5th son." "That doesn't tell you anything about him," said Robin bitterly. "The things he said and did, that's what he should be judged on." He waved the torch around the room, illuminating battered fragments, the things no one had thought worth stealing. "I used to play in this room," he said. "I put on my first suit of armour just over there." Guy held his gaze, and Robin let his head sink down, defeated. They stood there, silent but for the crackling of the torch in Robin's hand. Smoke curled quickly up towards the ceiling, tickling over the crest of the once great family, shrouding the details of its history. "Well, there's nothing we can do for him now," said Guy. "We find what we need." Robin looked up angrily at him, but then he just nodded and led Guy onto the next set of stairs. The next level had survived a bit better. A great fire dominated the room. Tapestries hung thickly from the walls. Low stools clustered expectantly around the empty hearth. They might have believed the place was still inhabited, were it not for the sight in the window. A great bundle of twigs filled the sill. "Stork's nest," said Robin. "Long since abandoned," said Guy, examining it. He immediately regretted the words, but Robin seemed not to take offence. The next level seemed smaller, partitioned into small rooms by wooden panels. Robin led Guy through the network of interlinking spaces, all bare of anything but the paltriest scraps. A ragged curtain hung over one doorway. Robin carefully pushed it aside to step through into a chamber at the very heart of this level, and he let out a gasp of horror. Guy hurried into the room behind him. Rich tapestries hung all around, fine carpets on the floor. A high 4-poster bed filled the far end of the room, and in the bed lay a wizened old corpse. Robin stared in awe at the dead Lord Brackenbury. Skin barely covered the skeleton. There were wisps remaining of long hair and a beard. The dead man wore fine jewellery, and his skeletal fingers gripped the handle of a long sword. A ceremonial sword might have been stolen, but this blade was nicked and crude from years of use. Guy felt a sudden admiration for the dead man, fighting to the last. Robin didn't approach. He stood in the doorway, watching the dead man on the bed. His expression showed nothing of his thoughts or feelings. Guy had learnt to hate the insufferable grinning and showing off, but he found this silence, the fire burning behind the man's eyes, profoundly disturbing. "Robin," he said, the outlaw's first name still sounding awkward on his lips. "We need to go up another level," said Robin, reluctantly turning away from the dead man. "Is that where the other bedrooms are?" asked Guy. Robin gazed at him levelly. The flickering light from the torch cast demonic shadows across his face. "No," he said. "That's where Lord Brackenbury hid his best wine."